Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Huge shout out to all the iTrack fam, man, in attendance, and major shout out to all the members, man. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. As you know, today we are on that Sunday flow, and generally on that Sunday flow, what we like to do is a brand new episode on the front end and a classic on the back for all the brand new fam that have just subscribed. And if this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos from all around the world and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. Hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button and join the iTrack fam. Stay up to date with the latest, greatest, interesting, and creepy videos from all around the world. So let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Every 100 or so years, the central bankers do a reset, and I think they knew they were coming into a reset. They felt if they didn't globalize, someone else would, and they wanted to control the process.
They needed the money to go into space? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what that means.
So I think they wanted to build the capacity to become a multiplanetary civilization.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Tyler Perry even a real person? He's kind of always reminded me of a Masked Singer, if you will. His face just has never looked real to me, and I can't put my finger on it. I always found it really interesting that he could go from looking like this to this, and then from this to this. Who is this guy? Does this really look like Tyler Perry to any of you? And what's interesting to me is that a picture of Tyler Perry might look absolutely normal until you zoom in to the eyes. What's going on here? I have never in the real world seen somebody's eyes do this. Looks like he's wearing a mask. This I find absolutely bizarre. Does this look like a mask to any of you guys? Am I alone here? Because this is kind of creepy to me. And then the more and more you look at him, he begins to take on another form of somebody else. I know. He's kind of reminded me of R. Kelly here, to be honest with you. Because this person right here, in the eyes and around this side of the face, looks a lot different than this person. Do you see what I'm saying? And this person looks much different than this person. I can't get over it. I just can't get over it.
When reaching goes wrong, that's what it looks like. I mean, in my opinion, but let me know what you think.
This is so cool. This is a viral Chinese invention right now called the smart urinal. And what it does, it can detect the liquids which are coming from you and gives you a full health diagnosis based on what it can see. Now it can detect things like diabetes, other health deteriorations which you're probably not aware of, and then gives you a full report on the screen for you to give your doctor. Now, this will definitely become common in most countries eventually, but China is so far ahead of everybody else right now.
Driverless semi-trucks have started running regular long-haul routes in Texas. The semis from the autonomous trucking company Aurora have computers and sensors that can see for more than 4 football fields. The company is starting out with a single self-driving truck and plans to add more by the end of the year.
In a lot of these situations where people think AI is going to take over their job, I think the solution might be just to own them. You know, you can own a few of those self-driving semi-trucks and be good.
Orlando Brown, when he mentioned that you guys had a relationship. I mean, he it's like, bro, come on now.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, that dude is hilarious. He's hilarious. Like,
But you know people believe that though, Bob.
If they believe there's something wrong with them, they crazy as hell. they done drunk 2 shades straight. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. That dude is smart and he know what he doing.
Right.
He ain't no fool. Okay. He ain't no fool. I seen an interview where he said, people pay me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when I get the bag, however much the money is determines,
what
am I gonna be crazy? Because I can be Orlando and we can have a casual conversation, we can talk. I always thought he was talented. Always thought he was talented. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's had troubles. I ain't even gonna get into all that. That's his personal business, that's his life. Yeah. But outside of that, I've always thought he was talented as hell. And I always thought that since all of these people put him on their platforms for clickbait, somebody to put the boy on TV and give him a real job. Right. I always said that. There is talent. Even though he does and says crazy stuff, and before he started wilding on me and saying I'm really Tupac, and he'd be saying, if he was here right now, he'll say, no, you really somebody else. Is you on? You'd be like, what? And he will call you that the whole interview. Right. You just be like, what is he on? Right. Like, but I always thought that, you know, people just use him. It's sad in some ways, but I feel like the boy is talented. He's funny as hell. And if given the right opportunity, somebody really gives him something where he can be himself, Orlando Brown, I think it'll pop. I'm not going to sit here and down the brother or diss him, or, you know, a lot of cats, like, you got to see that boy. Like, you're going to have to, all right, he walk in here, he ain't about to say none of that shit. He ain't about to say none of that to me in my face. He gonna walk, what up, Bap? Man, you know I be just effing around. I know how these things go. Right. I don't really take nothing serious. As long as you ain't playing my money, ain't playing my kids, I ain't tripping.
We can deal with it.
I ain't tripping, man. I'm laughing. It's clownery. Right. We laugh at stuff like that. I ain't tripping on Orlando Brown like that.
Cat can fall from insane heights and still survive. But what's even crazier is the higher they fall from, the better their chances of surviving. You see, cats have a natural ability to rotate their bodies midair to land on their feet. And by spreading themselves out like a parachute, they slow their fall and soften the impact. But here's the fascinating part. A study looked at 132 cats that fell from buildings and found that injuries actually became less severe after falls from above the 7th floor, something known as high-rise syndrome. This happens because that extra time lets them fully relax their bodies and spread the impact out much more gently.
So a lot of people believe that Diddy is the fall guy for this guy, 92-year-old Clive Davis. Now, without going too deep into Clive's background, Clive founded Arista Records in 1974 and was responsible for launching careers of people like Billy Joel and Janis Joplin and Carlos Santana, just to name a few. He also came out as being bi in the 1980s, which I'll tell you why that's important in a moment. And there's a lot of rumors surrounding this guy, which we can get into in another video. But most importantly for this case, he was Diddy's mentor. At least that's how Diddy describes it. However, hip-hop mogul Suge Knight has a different take on it. And if you don't know who Suge Knight is, Google him. He is not a man you want to mess with. So what happens is Suge walks into Jimmy Iovine's office at Interscope Records and hears something that he probably shouldn't have heard. And it went like this. And this next part is Suge's words. He said, I'm here because Clive Davis told me that him and Puffy's real tight and, you know, lovers. So I thought he was talking like they got love for each other. I'm like, aight? He said, nah, they are lovers, he continued. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? I said, are they lovers like F and sucking? And he said,
Blue don't have Beyonce nothing. She's just light-skinned. I always thought it was kind of weird how she did resemble Jay-Z to a certain extent, but no, that girl is starting to look like Kathy to me. The eyes, the cheekbones, the jawline, the speltness of her thin figure, her shoulders. Like when she wore that dress with the Grammys, when he set Killer Mike up to be inconvenienced for winning. That white thing that she wore with those boots. The way she walked up. The way she sashayed, and it was off the shoulder, like Kathy used to wear off. May God have mercy on their souls if they took that woman's up to a child. May God have mercy on their souls if they done that. And for her, and it's my bloodline. It's that bloodline on the front line.
And for this reason alone, Jay-Z and Beyonce are going to continue to put that bag behind one of the best lawyers and go ahead and get Jack Wall right on out of here. Because, you know, you can't just be talking about somebody's child like that.
I don't think you're ready for this one. This is Alien Races Part 3. The Pleiadians. So these guys are typically what we refer to as the Nordics, and they're said to be this benevolent species of extraterrestrials that visit Earth a lot, and they've been guiding us for millennia. And you pretty much can't tell the difference between them and us. They could be walking around us and you wouldn't know it. Except On average, they're taller. The females are between 6.5 to 7 feet tall, and the males are between 6.5 to 8 feet tall on average. And they have these uniquely colored eyes, long blonde hair, and they live for 1,000 years. Many think that ancient myths of sky gods or angelic beings point back to early encounters with these Pleiadians. And even today, people are still reporting them, with the 1950s and 60s having a big uptick in the number of people reporting encounters with them all around the world. Now, we call these beings Pleiadians because they're from the Pleiades star system, some 444 light years from Earth, but according to several contactees, their home planet is called Era, which orbits the star Taygeta. So they refer to themselves as the Erins or the Taygetans. And according to experiencers who have interacted with them, they're said to follow the cosmic law of one. And they also believe that all intelligent life in the universe shares a common ancestor. They're also part of the Galactic Council and participate in the Melchizedek Starseed program, meaning that some Pleiadians incarnate their souls on Earth, so some of you out there could be a starseed. And we always get the question, why don't these beings help us directly? Well, much like in Star Trek, there is apparently a kind of prime directive that says they can't interfere with developing civilizations, but they can send their starseed souls to help guide humanity from within and kind of in the background. Are you a starseed? Leave a comment and let me know what you want to hear about next.
Very careful when you go to the beach from now on, because you might come across this. These guys at first didn't really know what it was, so they decided to use these tongs to safely extract it. But pay attention, it's not an octopus. It's something stranger than that. Have you ever seen anything like it?
Cap has got to be Cap, unless it's some kind of animal I've never seen before. And if that's the case, definitely let me know.
There's a very famous astronaut who went to space. Both times he came back, he said he saw snakes in space.
Really?
And he was discredited and eventually discharged for being a loon. But he's like, no, I'm telling you, out there in orbit, there are these snake-like things that float around that are alive, that float around.
Dude, they're alive?
That's what he said, yeah.
But these astronauts are not just people they pulled off the street, right? These are usually like PhDs, professors, people who have been highly educated, have to go through rigorous types
training,
of mental testing, physical training,
everything.
And then they come out and say things like this, and people are like, nah, they're just crazy.
I used to think the same thing too, right? I used to think that you had to go through all kinds of rigorous training. You had to have all kinds of knowledge about, what it takes to be up there and things like that. Until I seen Gail King in space, until I seen Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, and all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know what? I guess either rules change or they're lying. I don't know. Let me know what you think, though.
This is the world's first commercial synthetic biological intelligence, and it's powered by actual human brain cells grown in a lab. Meet the CL1 by Cortical Labs. Unlike traditional silicon-based computers, this groundbreaking device uses real living neurons, forming fluid and adaptive neural networks right on a silicon chip. Cortical Labs previously amazed the world by teaching these cells to play Pong, demonstrating they can learn, adapt, and respond dynamically. But the CL1 is even more mind-blowing. It doesn't need any external computers to run. These organic neural networks could revolutionize drug discovery, replace animal testing, and even help us to understand complex brain diseases like Alzheimer's. But here's what's really wild. Scientists think this technology might unlock entirely new forms of intelligence, leading to bioengineered brains and advanced robotics that learn naturally. We're literally witnessing the birth of real cyborg intelligence. Follow for more mind-blowing advancements in science and tech.
U.S. Postal Service is now reportedly assisting federal immigration officials locate people through package and mail tracking information, credit card data, and mail surveillance. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service is also participating in a task force at the Department of Homeland Security. The Postal Inspection Service has about 1,300 postal inspectors and 500 uniformed postal police officers.
He says he was forced to make old food look fresh. That's why he secretly recorded his supervisor admitting tampering with best before dates is industry standard.
Every store does the same thing. All the other stores do the same.
At his home, Safari demonstrates what he says is done at work. He takes cheesecakes weeks past their best before dates, adds new toppings, and sells as fresh.
I decorate it, and I'm selling expired stuff for...
In a national online call-out, Marketplace hears from grocery workers at smaller stores and big chains, sharing stories of food tampering. He used to work in a Toronto area supermarket. He shows us how he was told to give old meat new life.
If it's like this, we would dabble in a little bit of blood, throw it into the meat mincer with some redder meats, and then all together it would make it look red. And then we put it back up on the shelf.
At the University of Guelph, a microbiologist simulated what grocery insiders told us they do. He discovered toxins and bacteria linked to serious illness.
It goes beyond ethics, doesn't it? It goes to safety and things like that.
Loblaw says it's investigating and plans to take action.
If you knew better, hopefully you do better.
Kylie Jenner. Let's get into Kylie Jenner a little bit. Well, that whole family only dates famous people. So her goal in dating Timothée Chalamet is, he's the most famous actor in the 20s right now. So I'm going to date him.
In my age bracket, yeah.
I'm going to put myself around him as much as possible. And man, is she successful at that. She's dated Tyga. She's dated Jaden Smith a long time ago. Cody Simpson a long time ago. Shout out to other Codys. She has 2 kids with Travis Scott. So she got with Travis Scott when he was popular and famous there for like a year and a half, 2 years. Now he's not really as relevant as a rapper. He's just kind of around, but he's not like a top rapper. Then after that, she briefly dated Drake, started dating Timothée Chalamet.
Now we're going to play a game called What Did You Notice That Was Happening in That Last Clip? It might have been painfully obvious, but let me know. Let me know down in the comments. That's wild.
It's me. You understand? No, I'm not a woman. No, I am not a man. I am Octavia. You got big time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having with them and then getting on national TV making fun of them.
I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells ET that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected trial at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. No, looks like she was crying. She goes, "Oh, Eddie Murphy." She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh my God. Like, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, "Oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?"
Police tailed them for 2 miles before pulling him over. Police say he is guilty of no misconduct, but there was a warrant out for the alleged prostitute. A judge has ordered that man, 20-year-old Addison Ciuli, to serve 90 days in jail.
Well, Al, when Eddie Murphy picked up this Hollywood, he had no idea that right behind him were a pair of vice cops. Early this morning, that hunger thrust him into the spotlight when police say he picked up on an infamous stretch of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. Eddie Murphy says he did nothing wrong. He says he saw this person on the sidewalk looking rather restless. And all he did, he says, was offer them a ride home.
A clip of Eddie Murphy right now is going viral of him back in the 90s talking about how his wife and kids left the house. He woke up at 4 a.m. and wanted to go find a book to read and end up picking up a trans. And he felt sorry for the transvestite. He told that story to the media, and they clapped.
Being a good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically, with that. And I'm never giving anyone a lift here.
you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 a.m. with his wife gone out overseas? Man, I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit. I was out Eddie Murphy, but to me, that's some straight bullshit. Man, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? If I pick up, if I see a man, you know, he dressed like a woman, and I see him, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him because
he was trying to be a good Samaritan.
But suppose he could be a robber. He might not be a real transvestite. I mean, he could be setting you up. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, and then you don't pick up. I wouldn't even pick up a little kid, man. I mean, shit, you don't pick up nobody and you a superstar. You know, Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit, man. That's bullshit, man.
4 a.m, Eddie. You know what? It doesn't take away from him being an icon in the movie industry, but life's about choices. You definitely better be careful what you choose.
Meaty truth. Walmart meat might look like a bargain, but those famous low prices could be a warning sign instead of a deal. Those yellow rollback signs might save your wallet today, but cost your stomach tomorrow. In a shocking discovery, Consumer Reports tested store-brand chicken from big retailers in 2018 and found that Walmart's chicken had dangerously high levels of bacteria. Their chicken had so many germs you'd need to wash your hands twice just for looking at it. The truth behind those super cheap meat prices isn't pretty. Walmart keeps costs down by working with suppliers who take shortcuts. These cheaper meat producers often have less cleaning rules, pack too many animals together, and rush the meat processing. All this leads to meat that might not be safe to eat, and definitely won't taste good. It's basic math that many shoppers forget. When meat prices drop too low, quality drops even faster. Good, safe meat costs money to produce. When you see prices that seem too good to be true, they probably are. If your steak costs less than your morning coffee, something's definitely wrong. And it's not the coffee. Have you ever noticed how cold the meat section should be? Temperature control is a huge problem in many Walmart stores. Meat needs to stay below 40 degrees to stay fresh and safe. But tests at different Walmart locations found meat sitting at 45 to 50 degrees. Warm enough for harmful bacteria to multiply fast. With fewer workers in many stores, the meat departments often don't have enough trained staff. This means less attention to safety details that really matter. Workers have less time to check temperatures, replace old meat, or make sure everything is properly sealed. The packaging at Walmart often fails basic safety standards too. Thin plastic wraps, leaky containers, and missing labels happen way too often. A big survey of thousands of shoppers in 2022 put Walmart in last place among major grocery stores for meat packaging quality.
I envisioned the type of man I wanted. I prayed for the type of man I wanted, and I got pretty much that. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But, you know, he has a lot of the qualities. He has a lot of the qualities that that I love, and we're having a really good time, and I'm enjoying life. So there is hope, women.
Now, if he chose to stick around after that, that says more about him and less about her.
This Qatari family owns more of London than the king, controlling over £40 billion in assets, from property to airports to supermarkets. The Al Thani family, Qatar's ruling dynasty, began investing heavily in London in the early 2000s. Backed by the country's vast gas wealth, they started acquiring some of the city's most iconic landmarks. Their portfolio is absolutely jaw-dropping. They own Harrods, the world-famous luxury department store, bought for £1.5 billion. They hold a major stake in Canary Wharf, the £9 billion financial hub. They control over 1.8 million square feet of prime real estate, including the Shard, the Savoy Hotel, Claridge's, the Connaught, and the Berkeley. And it's not just luxury. The Al Thani family owns 20% of Heathrow Airport, the UK's busiest, and 14% of Sainsbury's, making them its second largest shareholder. Beyond London, they hold stakes in Barclays, Volkswagen, and more. Today, their London empire is worth over £40 billion, and they're still buying. The Al Thani family isn't just investing in London, they practically own it. If you're not following Biz Thoughts, you're probably never going to see us again. If you are, then congratulations. You're growing every day.
All of the money I have made has not compensated me for the stress I've gone through. Meaning, it's too much. So that's my answer on wealth. Find the point, which for most people is going to be, 6 figures of profit. Maybe 7 figures. When you start going to make 8 figures, the banana peel effect, your best friend's going to try to steal your money. The tax guys come and show up and go, well, was that a real business expense? So try to find the optimal point on the efficient frontier.
Every 3 years, like clockwork, I re-deep dive down the lore of the Denver International Airport between the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. any given day. Doesn't matter when it's going to happen, but it always happens every 3 years. For those of you who have not been down this rabbit hole before, I'm going to take you down there with me because it's just so insane. All alleged, by the way. Have your own mind. You can make your own interpretations. Okay, we're all adults here. Maybe, some of us, not all of us. To understand how crazy some of the stuff they actually have inside the airport is, you kind of have to understand a little bit of the history. So the process of building this airport actually started in September of 1989. It came in to replace the Stapleton Airport, which was a perfectly fine airport. There really wasn't any issues with it, maybe some debates about it overcrowding a little bit. Officials came in and they were like, actually, we're gonna close down this airport, open up a new one, make it bigger than Boston, as well as Miami, San Francisco, Paris, and Manhattan. We're gonna set the budget at, let's say, like $2 billion. They're putting a lot of money into this airport, making it massive. But this is not what happened. They ended up opening up 2 years late because they had so many construction mishaps. Several of the buildings were constructed very incorrectly, whether it was the wrong location, wrong size, a design flaw. Ultimately, instead of demolishing these buildings, which is like the normal way to get rid of a building, they were like, oh, just bury it. Huh? Ultimately, around 5 to 6 of these buildings were just buried. During the process of building, they were also hiring out a lot of different contractors. So it's thought that there isn't like a singular person that really knows the full scale and full capacity that is DIA. There's a lot of people online that theorize that maybe some of these buildings that were buried underground are being used for something else. There's a lot of people online that have said that maybe these buildings are being used for something else, such as an underground bunker. For who, you might ask? We'll get into that. By the time they were done constructing everything, the final cost was $4.8 billion. Maybe I don't know enough about airports and the things that go into it, but $2 billion over the budget seems a lot, seems excessive. A lot of people have also commented on the shape of the airport as well, which appears to look like a very frowned upon symbol. I don't know if I can say that on here, which I don't really see this one as much unless you're like really looking for it. But one of the designs about the place that does truly creep me out is that the whole thing is surrounded by barbed wire that's facing inwards, almost as if you're keeping something trapped in as opposed to keeping something out. And you might be thinking, oh, that is kind of a weird construction process, but at least it ends there, right? Well, the way that they've decorated this place is really what's fueled the rumors, starting with the massive colorful murals that are inside. These murals have this eerie post-apocalyptic feel to them with a military figure and children and women looking like they're at his feet. It also looks like he's unaliving a bird in one of these. But the artist has come forward and been like, no, I didn't mean for this to frighten anyone. This is just supposed to be about world peace. I totally understand that art is very interpretive for everyone, but for me personally, and it seems like for a lot of other people, I just don't feel relaxed or at peace whenever I look at some of these images. But we are literally just scratching the surface.
We hate it when our friends get famous.
You see it all the time though, with people famous or money or success, whatever you define
and it's
it.
usually the people who are farthest away from you, who have the least ability to directly be impacted by your success, that are the ones giving you the most love and support.
Facts.
The sadness, the irony of this situation is the closer you are to somebody, the more even kind of get triggered or diminish them.
Yeah, I see it in myself sometimes when my friend does something well and I'm like kind of hating a little bit. It's kind of weird that I do that.
Like extremely honest of you.
No, but now I have that awareness, which is cool. But I've pushed away friends because of that, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they get too close to me.
When Katy Perry came out, what was she holding in her hand? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
She was holding a daisy like this.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole trip,
That's you.
throughout the whole spaceship trip for her, she was playing with like a daisy like this, like looking at it.
What does
right?
that represent?
Now, if you look at the spiritual significance of what that means, and this is where it gets fucking demonic, bro. Yo, they're smart with it. Like, they really know how to put subliminals. I'm gonna read, I'll show you.
Okay.
I'm gonna read the spiritual significance of what a daisy is. Ready?
Bet.
So, in occult and spiritual context, daisies are often associated with innocence of children.
No.
Yeah. Now, obviously, with Illuminati and, the elites, what are they always known for? Taking advantage of kids, taking advantage of innocence and children. Yo, the Baphomet, the demon or the god that eats children, they sacrifice kids to them, right? What is she holding? The symbol of that. It's crazy, bro.
What?
And she made like a big, I guess, deal to show it on camera a lot. Like, and right when she dropped, she's like putting up like this. Crazy.
Talk about aliens, UFO, extraterrestrial life, extraterrestrial beings, different races, some of them positive, some of them negative. Are aliens real? A lot of you know they are. It's a spiritual topic. Actually, when you start talking about aliens, well, that implies other levels of reality. They're coming from other dimensions, not just another planet, not just another galaxy. We have to go, expand our ideas, our concepts of reality, of creation, know what the creation mechanics are, know what dimensions are, temporal dimensions, separate reality fields, otherworldly locations, where these aliens, extraterrestrials, are coming from.
Last night, something massive passed in front of the moon and blocked its view for several minutes, confirmed by witnesses across the US, London, and even Ghana. Reddit user VampireSuck13, a Marine in Northern California, described seeing the moon appear, vanish, reappear, and repeat this strange pattern 7 times, before it vanished completely well before its expected set time. The sky was clear, no clouds or fires, yet the moon kept disappearing like something enormous was silently moving across it. He captured the whole thing on video, and now people worldwide are saying they saw the same event. So the question is, what just passed between us and the moon?
Oh, what's in front of it now? What the is going on? I can't explain. I've never seen anything like this.
The U.S. Department of Defense secretly launched a Dark Eagle hypersonic missile from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station last week, according to multiple reports. However, the U.S. Army did not disclose any details about the test launch. The Dark Eagle is a land-based, mobile-launched hypersonic missile with a range of over 1,700 miles and a top speed greater than 3,800 miles per hour.
Record company in the record business stole everything. 99% of the artists in the business today are broke.
What do you think about the artists that sell their catalogs? Good or bad idea?
You opened up a whole can of worms. How much time do I have? 3 minutes?
30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Yeah. No, preach it. Go ahead.
Most of the artists never sold their rights. The record companies thought that they had the rights from the analog world back in the 90s. They were selling records, $10, $20, $30. They thought that they gave away their rights when the digital world came in. You can't convert that over to digital and pay me 0.3 cents when I used to make $10. So a lot of artists, 99% of the artists don't know those digital rights they're under right now, under those crumbs that the record company stole. That's not legal. They're not allowed to take me to a salary. I used to make $100,000 a year or $1 million. Now I make $10,000. That they can't do that. So there should be a class action suit against Congress, who allowed the digital people to go on board and didn't protect the artists, and all of the DSPs who are stealing the rights, and the record companies are in business with them through the back door. They're making all the subscription money, all of the data money, all of the advertising money. They made deals with those DSPs, and they're paying the artists crumbs.
They made those deals, and they cut you guys, the artists, out. They cut you out.
Every artist under those deals are broke. The record company and the record business stole everything. 99% of the artists in the music business today are broke. Now, I'm going to say that again. They're not making anything. You understand? There's no way you can make money off of streaming. It's impossible.
You don't think...
We now know exactly what happens after you die, and let's just say it's not what you think. This is seriously some of the craziest shit I've ever heard in my entire life, so please buckle in. Before I get into it, let me preface, some of the stuff in this is documented, there is proof of it. Some of the other bits I'm not 100% sure of, so I'll explain as we go along. So first of all, you probably saw all the studies that came out a while ago. We do know what happens to our brain when we pass away. Research came out in the States when they monitored people before death and after. It showed when going into a cardiac arrest, our brain goes into like this dream-like state, which could be a number of things, processing your life, rewatching your memories, etc. But now this coming out, yeah. So there's been a lot of these videos coming out over the last day from people who have found all of this research. People finding it on Yandex, which is like the Russian equivalent to Google. Now, what is crazy but 100% true and documented is that they, along with other people in the world, have been researching what happens to our brain when this happens. But what's interesting is this country's unique take on how they've been doing that reportedly. Essentially having volunteers' brains monitored while they're alive and when they're gone by putting something in there which they can then track the brain waves with. Now, you probably remember this place. It sounds confusing, but it will make sense in a minute. A while ago, the news broke of this crazy discovery that the James Webb Telescope found Jade GSZ14. Millions and millions of light years away, you ain't going there anytime soon, but could potentially be habitable, who knows. Now, what apparently came out in these Russian documents yesterday said that man who passed away, they monitored his brain activity, and it showed after death the activity spiked, like we know before, living dreams or whatever it could be. It also reportedly showed he was here, in this other galaxy. I do not have a clue how the logistics of this work or how the hell they found this out. It does not sound very feasible to me, but there's been lots of people making videos on this online. Candidly, I couldn't find the research anywhere because it's all in Russian. But the amount of people that have been making videos on it saying that this document did genuinely come out and this happened this week, it's quite interesting. But the one thing we do know for certain is that this research has been going on for years. We do know that brain activity spikes after you go, whether you're processing memories, rewatching parts of your life, or creating alternate realities that you could even be in right now.
Done, we think, by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel. Yes, you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
What if I told you the firmament is what's stopping them from going back to the moon? Before you get all what is he talking about, think, just for a second. Since 1969, tech has exploded. We have 4K cameras in our pockets, AI that writes essays, billionaires launching rockets like it's a hobby. But not one structure on the moon, not one building, not even a flag we can zoom in on with a backyard telescope. Why? Because they probably never went. That's why the story keeps changing. First, it was, we're going back to the moon. Then it became, Mars is the next step. Now, space hotels in low Earth orbit, always just out of reach. Always a production. Dramatic commentary, perfect lighting, CGI level visuals. But never anything we can actually see with our own eyes. And those rockets? Conveniently landing in the Bermuda Triangle. Why? Because they don't go anywhere. They arc, disappear, and land somewhere out of sight. Floating astronauts? Harnesses? Water tanks? Zero-G planes? The Mars landscape? A desert on Earth with a red filter. Ancient cultures spoke of the firmament, a barrier, a dome, maybe not a metaphor, maybe it's real. If it is, we're trapped. And if it's not, then they've been lying since day one. Either way, we're not leaving Earth, not now, not ever.
We are interacting with 4 species. This is nuts. These are confirmed. These are who we're interacting with. We are interacting with the Greys, which we kind of knew, short humanoid involved in the 1947 Corona crash in Roswell. The Nordics, which are basically like us. They look like Scandinavians, basically. So human-like from 5'6" to 6 foot tall. Those look like us. They look like humans. This guy said this in a congressional panel. I can't stress this enough. Unfortunately, the reptilians, apparently according to him, exist. They're humanoid with reptile-like features. Not reptiles, they just perceive that way. Insectoids apparently are also real, humanoid but bug-like faces or eyes, also human-sized. What? Like this is, he's testified this. He said this in a congressional panel to Eric Burleson, Paulina Luna, that is currently running the Task Force for Transparency. Protect this man with our life.
With pigs, when they let a pig loose, he will become a wild boar. And it happens quickly. I believe it happens, the metamorphosis starts to take place within like 6 weeks or something. See if you can find that. But what happens is, a body sends a signal to the system knows that you're on your own now, motherfucker. So your whole body changes. Your snout extends, the males grow tusks, they get furry, thicker hair. They literally become a wild boar. I used to think a wild boar was a different thing. No, it's the same thing. Wow. It's one genus, Sus scrofa. It's one specific animal. If you domesticate it, it's cute and it's babe, it's the pig. If you don't, it's this fucking plague of mammals that can have 3 litters a year. It starts having a litter when it's 6 months old. Within a couple of years, they're 200 pounds, and they eat constantly. And all they do is eat and fuck and make more pigs. And they're smart.
Like Beyonce may do this stuff with Oshun, and they're saying that like she's venerating her ancestors and this luau, which are the Haitian spirits.
So what Beyonce does is Haitian?
I don't think it's Haitian. I think it's more hoodoo. Even, what was it, Black is King? And so you remember at the very beginning when she was at the water?
Yes.
So she was talking to like a goddess, which I believe that's Oshun, which is the mother.
Okay.
And so she was wearing a lot of that yellow.
Yeah.
And then even like, a kid even say like Kaya was like a good friend of mine. But she with the Elikes and all of that stuff. So it's a lot, it's in your face more than you think it is. Even like in the song, she says, Uncle Johnny made my dress. And you know, she's wearing that old dress, that's honoring him. And then she has to serve whiskey, which is like, or whatever
her grandfather.
It is, or her grandfather. That's all hoodoo, that's a voodoo.
You know the Beehive for the come for you.
I'm a part of the Beehive too. That's why I can sit here and say it and be honest about it. I know what it is though. Why do you think she's so powerful?
But none of her products seem to be successful.
We're not going there, Tasha. Thank you. We're not going there. I told you I'm part of the Beehive. I love Beyonce.
Now, Tasha K did bring out a major point, you know, even though he doesn't want to talk about it, none of her products really are successful. So that's very interesting in itself.
If you shot a bullet at a nuclear bomb, most people think it would cause it to explode, but that's not exactly what would happen. You see, an atomic bomb can only detonate when the atoms inside split in half, which then triggers a chain reaction that causes it to explode. This means that a bullet would basically do nothing.
I mean, let's just hope you never find yourself shooting at a bomb, right? That sounds kind of backwards.
Give you a quick update. Kai is a big humper. He's overstimulated, literally humping everyone. And a lot of the dogs did not like it. He is social, but he's more concerned about humping everybody than he
CIA declassified documents and said that there was a saucer flying over a bunch of Soviet soldiers. The Soviet soldiers shot at the saucer and it crashed. The beings emerged from the wreckage and turned all of the soldiers to stone except for 2 of them.
That's fire.
The CIA
Fire.
declassified these documents.
Where did this happen?
What you mean? You don't read.
You don't read, Al.
Typical.
Al, you don't read.
You know what that called? You know what kind of that's called?
What's that?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say it in front of you.
You're scared.
Yep.
Scared.
Hold on.
Scared.
Hold on.
Scared.
CIA declassified. It's everywhere. You can pull up a website. Declassified Cold War era CIA files detail Soviet clash with aliens who witnesses say turned soldiers to stone. A declassified Cold War era file from the CIA has gone viral over its coverage of a supposed clash between Soviet soldiers and a UFO. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the CIA acquired a 250-page KGB report recounting the events that transpired after a platoon fired at a flying saucer over Ukraine. The report includes eyewitness accounts and pictures of the aftermath, which one American agent described as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. CIA released that and y'all don't give a fuck.
How about Mercury? Mercury is supposed to be hot enough to melt lead.
The basic misunderstanding that we all are infused with by NASA is the sun is hot. It's not hot. It may look hot, but it doesn't broadcast any heat. You'll remember when the first astronauts went up that they made a great point of saying that they had to rotate the vehicles, the modules, to keep from burning up. So that you didn't get to, actually, there is no heat coming from the sun, so you'll notice that nobody had to rotate. The International Space Station doesn't have to rotate because there's no heat from the sun. What there is coming from the sun is an electromagnetic wave, and this wave is changed from, it goes through our atmosphere, and our atmosphere changes the temperature of the atmosphere inside the Earth. So Mercury is supposed to be hot enough to melt lead. No, it's about the same temperature as here because their atmosphere modifies the electromagnetic wave that comes out of the sun. With Pluto, we're told it's cold enough to raise an Eskimo. It's not. It's the same temperature as here because it modifies the electromagnetic wave to create the proper temperature on the planet. And it's the same with all the planets.
And they have to have this atmosphere, of course, for it to be like that.
Right.
Male inmates somehow got pregnant without any physical contact with anyone. During the investigation, authorities found out that a male prisoner was locked up in the cell directly above hers. One day, out of sheer boredom, the guy started ranting into the air vent in his cell. By some crazy coincidence, the woman downstairs heard him, and before long, they began using the vent as their own secret communication line. As days turned into weeks, their chats got longer and they grew closer. Eventually, the woman told him she wanted to have a baby with him. They cooked up a scheme. The man started sending his sperm, wrapped in plastic wrap, down the air vent to her. A month later, she was confirmed to be pregnant, all without the two ever touching.
JFK gets unalived, and who becomes president? LBJ. The first thing that this man does after he is sworn in, illegally moved JFK's body to Washington so that Texas cannot conduct their own autopsy. LBJ was in deep legal trouble with the Kennedy family. Not only was JFK looking into it, but so was RFK, and they were exposing his corruption big time. Oh, and a CIA agent, E. Howard Hunt, on his deathbed, confessed to this plot, claiming that in inner circles of the intelligence, it was known as the big event, quote unquote. There was a Lee Harvey Oswald impersonator or a body double that actually went to Mexico City and met with the Soviet and Cuban officials. It was a complete setup from the beginning. They've been lying to you for 60 years. The truth is coming out. The files are unsealed. All of these extremely powerful people that could control the media relatively easy throughout time never expected the internet.
MIT scientists want to grow human bodies dubbed bodyoids. Now, these bodyoids are physiologically identical to humans, yet scientists insist that they are not conscious and they can feel no pain. Scientists are stating that ethically sourced spare bodies could revolutionize medicine through things like organ donation. These bodyoids are not only intended to provide medical miracles, they can be used as meat for consumption.
Hey, tell me why that just sounds like an invention we just don't need, like at all. Like, never.
Today, a Michigan doctor sentenced, being called a monster. A day of reckoning for the doctor who diagnosed hundreds of patients with cancer when they did not have it. Outside the court, the tears and anger. He lied to so many patients, giving many of them extensive chemotherapy, which then made them sick.
Today, the U.S. Department of Education said it's restarting involuntary repayment of federal student loans that are in default. Starting May 5th, the department will begin involuntary collection through the Treasury Department's offset program, which withholds tax refunds, federal salaries, and other benefits from people with past due debts from the government. About 5.3 million borrowers are in default on their federal student loans.
A participant in DARPA's Project Pegasus, which was the U.S. time-space program at the time of the emergence of different forms of time travel in the U.S. defense technical community. It's been concealed from the American people that time travel existed as the secret twin, essentially, of Project Manhattan, the atomic bomb project. Because at the time that Project Manhattan was being formulated, and some of the world's leading physicists and engineers were being settled in Los Alamos, New Mexico, to develop the atomic bomb, Nikola Tesla's papers from his apartment in the New Yorker Hotel in Manhattan, New York, that had been seized by the War Department upon his death on January 7th of 1943 were forwarded by the president from the National Archives to Los Alamos, and they're still there. Nikola Tesla's papers were never lost. 25 years later, by 1968, the U.S. defense community had pioneered Tesla teleportation, which is the capability to open up a vortal tunnel in time-space through which somebody can pass. And by the fall of 1970, had found a way to adjust the time of the arrival of the individual via teleportation, backward or forward in time. So I was brought in to Project Pegasus as a child participant officially in the fall of 1969.
I've never seen in my whole life seen so many music stars just start normal and then start looking like satanic. And that's when I was really like, this is tripping me out.
Right.
Pop people. Doja Cat. She's a nice girl from the Valley. Sam Smith. Justin Timberlake's last video. And I talked to a lot of people in the music business, and they talk about how the frequency of music changed in the early 40s to different megahertz and how it can be hypnotic.
It's so crazy how he hit the nail on the head. Most people thought, oh, it's just for shock value. But no, they all are doing these satanic rituals and, basically bigging up Satan in front of our face, right? That's crazy.
If you start talking like an NPC, you will attract NPCs. If you talk like you are a creator, you will attract other creators. This simulation, this matrix, is code. It's all code. Your words are code. You're like a code that has the ability to create code within a larger code. Stop talking crazy. Mind your words!
So when does the AI empire start, do you think?
You're asking increasingly more complicated questions. To answer them, you need to be an expert in big numbers, big data, and AI. Mankind is currently facing many threats. Due to the genetic researches, it is now possible to create a superhuman, a specialized human being, a genetically engineered athlete, scientist, military man.
There's two photos here, and the first one looks normal. I'll show that to y'all. If you want to go ahead and show Chris the normal one, Maddie.
Okay.
Just a normal photo.
Kids in a kitchen.
Nothing's happening. Everything's just chill. Definitely no entities, right?
Right.
No entities in that. If you scroll down.
Oh.
We have this crazy stuff. There should be a zoomed in. Is there a zoomed in photo?
That's so creepy.
That's some ring stuff going on right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like you can see the hair.
Smile.
Right.
Right? It's smiling. And it's hair.
It's like
and it even like
You can
it's
see
long black hair.
The fact that she's covering her ear, like she does not look happy.
No,
she's the only one in there that's not having a good time and looking directly at the camera.
Right.
Maybe she's hoping the camera's capturing whatever's talking to her.
Maybe.
I would say like that in like the demon that was like in the boxing ring.
Yeah, that's what it gives.
It does
give
that.
demon in the boxing ring.
The things we saw on the property just blew us away.
In the 1990s, you were doing an evaluation on the property, correct?
For plumbing. The property is huge. It's a 40,000 square foot property. My buddy and I got to look at everything. And we ended up finding literally secret passages that went through a library downstairs into tunnels. We saw a secret entrance into the back, which just, I cannot believe it, that existed, and tunnels underneath it that we were in. And then at the end was a door that was heavily locked. We never got through the final door. We do know that there's tunnels that head to Playboy Mansions, Getty's, other places.
You also saw a playhouse for children, right?
Hey, so the tunnels have been confirmed. And with that being confirmed, that also says a lot about what was going on back in the day and even now. So I wonder what the next step's going to be as far as all that goes. Hey, but let me know what you think.
Viewers' discretion is advised. So is this why Mariah Carey's sister and mom were unalive recently? This can't be the truth, right? Mariah Carey's sister exposes artist and mom? Satanic sacrifice for Mariah Carey's fame? So y'all comment below and let me know if this is true. This can't be right. Holly weird, huh?
Mariah Carey's sister
talks about the sacrifices they would do for Mariah to get famous. Children between 1 to 3 years old were sacrificed, and this traumatized her horrifically.
Would have these big circles of these Satanists around an altar where the people, sometimes in hooded, what do you call them? They were wearing these long cloaks that were brown with hoods, and they'd be in a circle or two circles, one inside of the other, by the altar, where there'd be live children and sometimes babies. So, and that would happen at night. I saw people get stabbed and start bleeding, and it would be dripping to the floor. It was children. The youngest I ever saw stabbed, I'd say he was about younger than 2 years old. And then there were several that were 2 and 3 years old. I can't imagine how anybody got away with that. The kid disappears. Don't detectives come try to figure out what happened?
A great dream to have is where you're given a ticket that is already paid for. Doesn't matter what the ticket is for. Often it's for a plane ride or a train ride or something like that, or for a movie. But it means that your karma is paid. Karma shows up in dreams as a price we have to pay or a bill that we are enduring. So when somebody comes along to you and says, here, I've already paid for this for you, it's telling you that this piece of karma is finished for you. Terrific dream. Not that common.
Did you know Mexico has its own version of the Bermuda Triangle? Welcome to the Zone of Silence, where radios go dead, compasses spin, and the sky lights up with eerie flashes. Deep in the Chihuahuan Desert, near the border of Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila, lies a mysterious patch of land where strange things just don't make sense. Electronics fail, clocks stop, even birds avoid flying over it. Locals say it's as if time itself glitches here. In 1970, a U.S. missile accidentally crashed here, raising suspicions. Why did it veer off course, right into this zone? People report glowing orbs, humanoid figures in silver suits, and even sudden memory loss. Some believe the area is rich in magnetic anomalies. Others think it's a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity. Some say the rocks themselves hold unknown minerals. Others claim the area aligns perfectly with other mysterious locations like the Bermuda Triangle and the Pyramids of Giza, hinting at a global grid of energy zones. Coincidence? Or something ancient and powerful? Whether it's a natural energy vortex, a geomagnetic mystery, or a cosmic landing zone, the Zone of Silence remains unsolved and deeply unsettling. Would you dare visit a place where reality seems to break? Let me know what you think in the comments and follow for more shocking mysteries.
We know that the planet Saturn has a hexagram, a perfect hexagram at its north pole. What very few people know is that this hexagram has been known about by ancient people for as long as history has been recorded. People who did not have telescopes or the technology to view anything outside of the Earth's atmosphere besides the stars. That is quite the paradox. That's what's been on my mind lately about this subject. It is, number one, absolutely impossible for these people to have viewed Saturn, especially North Pole. Saturn being associated with the black cube, which has direct connection to the hexagon shape, which is a 2D format of the cube, proves to us without a doubt that these people over the centuries from all over the world understood that there was this anomaly at the peak of Saturn.
Between March 3rd and March 10th, 2023, nearly every major platform pushed silent backend updates to their content delivery models. Publicly, it was performance optimization. Privately, it marked the start of what internal flags called the calibration window. The goal wasn't to change the algorithm, it was to change you. During that 7-day window, feedback loops were tightened by 40%. Emotional resonance scoring was weighted 2-to-1, and your digital behavior was compressed, so every reaction became more predictable. You weren't shown more of what you liked. You were shown things designed to narrow your tolerance for what you didn't. Political content spikes, flash anger audio, micro-trauma threads. The goal? to stabilize your identity by agitating it. After March 10th, those changes became baseline. And the version of you that emerged from that window, that's the one they saved. That's the one that trains future systems. That's the you they trust, because it's the one they helped build.
Now that to me sounds like a silent takeover. So the best thing to do right now is hop off them socials and go crack open a book, man.
Breaking news, and by breaking news, I mean this literally just happened last night. But in Vegas, where I live, right outside of Vegas, a 12-foot monolith showed up out of nowhere last night. Now, there's an area outside of Las Vegas, if you're familiar with Las Vegas, that's called Seven Magic Mountains. And it's this art installation. It's this gigantic structure of rocks that are different colors, and it's basically like a tourist attraction, a place where you can take photo ops and stuff like that. But last night, authorities have confirmed that a 12-foot monolith just showed up without permission, was given no permission and undetected. So there's no detection of it showing up. And they have said that it will be removed, but further investigation is going on right now before it's removed. But this literally just happened last night outside of Las Vegas. And it's not the first time that a monolith has just randomly shown up all over the entire world. But I wanted to share that with you guys now. It is on the news. You can Google it. You can research it. But yeah, a 12-foot monolith just showed up in Las Vegas.
No, there's vampires in New Orleans. So yes, there are vampires in the French Quarter, Bourbon Street. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
You might not believe it, but this might be an actual vampire in New Orleans. I'm sure we've all heard about the story of the Carter brothers that in the 1930s claimed to be vampires and eventually get executed. However, the story with New Orleans and vampires go a lot deeper and dark. Let me show you. In scripture, we find that the life of the flesh is in the blood, specifically in the Old Testament. And unfortunately, a lot of the occultists know about this power and this thing, where the blood is basically the bridge between the spiritual and the material world. And this woman here is Helena Blavatsky, one of the most famous Satanists in the 1900s. And she, in fact, has some relationship with New Orleans, and let me show you. You see the symbol here? This is a symbol of theosophy, and this is straight up occultism, and they work a lot with blood, which, you know, I guess it makes sense if it's Helena Blavatsky starting this out. And I'm going to be showing you who is also a theosopher. This guy right here is Jacques Saint Germain, the notorious guy from New Orleans who claimed to be a vampire. Now, the story with this guy goes is his actual name is Count Saint Germain, but he tried to conceal and hide his real name because he, in fact, was alive in the 1700s, where he actually claimed to be himself a Jesuit. And that in and of itself is a complete rabbit hole that I'm going to be getting into another video.
This is our planet. Not the Nephilim, not the Dracos. This is the Guardians call them intruders. They weren't invited. Some of these races were actually kicked off the planet before a negative agenda. The Guardians straight up call these negative aliens fallen angels. When you get some extraterrestrials coming to our planet and hybridizing, either through rape of human females, or of course these races are master geneticists, so these master geneticists are creating hybrids. Impossible? No, it's not impossible. Are they all evil? Dark? No, they're not. The woman will birth this being, which is now a hybrid, alien, human, extraterrestrial. Not just human, not just the original alien, but a mixture of the two. So these fallen angelics are creating hybrids as a military strategy. The Anunnaki have done it, the reptilians have done it, certainly other races have done it, and the Guardians bringing in the indigo children. And there's races of starseeds here. This is a spiritual war.
This robot can steal your car in just 5 seconds, and not even the most advanced security systems can stop it. In China, revolutionary robots have been developed that can hijack any vehicle in a matter of seconds. If you think they can't lift a car that weighs several tons, you're seriously mistaken. One such robot can handle up to 15 tons, meaning it can easily steal even a massive truck. Criminals don't need tow trucks or to hide the car anymore. One robot can do it all. So how does it work? First, the robot slides under the car, lifts it using a special platform, and locks onto the wheels. Then it drives the car away like a toy. It happens so fast that even if the owner sees it, they won't have time to react before the car is already gone, headed straight for parts. In some cities, these robots are even used against drivers who park illegally. After that, the cars vanish forever and are never found again. Share this video with your friends so they know what to watch out for.
Hey, that means you better pay that note, because those tow trucks aren't going to be your problem anymore. It sounds like those little machines are about to be your problem. That's pretty wild.
So just for everybody watching, y'all need to check out Ingo Swan. Remote viewing.
Stargate
Project. You need to check out Project 8200. And you need to type in Galactic Federation.
So they're out there in the helicopter. Frogman hanging down the line. You got the helo pilot, you got the crew chief, and the co-pilot looking all down at the bubble. And as they're about to grab this cruise missile out of the ocean, there's something huge and round, and what was described to me as black as a devil, starts to rise to the surface. The water begins to churn, very much like David Fravor's description of the Tic Tac incident and the roiling water. The Frogman is so freaked out, he's literally trying to climb the line back up. He's like total Panic at the Disco, right? And the helicopter's like, do we do like an emergency ascent? What the hell's going on here? And right as this thing is about, and by the way, it's the size of a small island and round. Right as this thing is about to break the surface, it sucks the missile down and disappears.
Jesus
and that
Christ.
was,
120 light years away, in the quiet darkness of the Leo constellation, floats a world that's turning heads and raising eyebrows. This is K218b. It's not like Earth, and it's not like Neptune. It's something in between, possibly a Hycean planet, covered in oceans, and wrapped in a thick hydrogen-rich atmosphere. Sounds exotic, right? Well, it gets better. In 2019, scientists found water vapor in its atmosphere. And then things got really interesting. Data from the James Webb Telescope in 2023 detected something unexpected, a chemical called dimethyl sulfide. On Earth, this molecule is only made by living organisms. Think about that. A distant ocean world with water vapor and a potential chemical signature of life. Not just any life, but something biological, something active. Scientists are cautious. But the signs? They're there. Something might be breathing, living, or even evolving under those alien skies. K218b could be hiding an ecosystem unlike anything we've ever imagined. Creatures that thrive in dense clouds or swim in dark hydrogen oceans, far from sunlight and far from Earth. If we're not alone, this might be where we find our first neighbors. Follow for more real cosmic mysteries, because space is just getting started.
Like if you watch the Kardashians, there's nothing special about them. And they're billionaires. Like, yeah, they're cute, they have nice clothes, but the whole show is based on very boring people who are living these extremely privileged lives for no reason that anybody can explain. But yet they're the people that people want to aspire to. You have like a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, which is arguably the best phone on earth. If you have that phone, and you give a green bubble, you're looked at less than you have an iPhone 10.
Because you get a special color bubble.
You get a blue bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're iMessaging. You can have an old-ass iPhone, and people respect you more.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're not that poor.
Yeah.
But you can have literally the Galaxy S24 Ultra is, listen, forget about fanboy shit. It's the best phone on Earth. It's the best phone. It has AI built into the phone that will translate in real time, built into the phone.
Yeah.
It has AI that will transcribe voice recordings and summarize it for you. So you can make voice notes. It'll summarize it for you. It'll write texts in different styles. Like you could say, make this more business, make this more friendly. And it'll do that with AI.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's nuts. And it has a stylus. You can write on it and it'll turn it into text.
Hey, Team iPhone, Team Android, one of the biggest debates of all time. Are you Team iPhone or are you Team Android? Let me know, because it's iPhone over here. I'm just telling you right now.
That demon is back. He goes today by the name of... And this demon is known as the Prince of all demons. He is extremely powerful, extremely knowledgeable. He is one of the highest, and sometimes he appears as the highest of all of them. And that demon, his name was Ashmedai, and he also goes by Asmodeus, okay? And he usually appears in paintings as a three-headed demon with the head of a man and the head of a bull and the head of a ram who's sitting on top of a dragon, and usually one of his feet is the feet of a cock or a rooster, a chicken. The name of Asmodeus in Arabic is Sakhr. Sakhr means rock, and rock was his name because Solomon eventually casts him and locks him inside of a stone. He ends up being locked in there for a while and cast into the sea, eventually to come out in this day and age. And today he actually sits as a lifeless body, exactly as described in the Quran. He is sitting in Najaf.
Scientists might have just found evidence of alien life on another planet, with what they're calling a revolutionary moment with their strongest evidence yet. K2-18b is a planet 120 light years away that was first discovered in 2015. But more recently, they've discovered signs of a gas called dimethyl sulfide on that planet. So why is that exciting? Well, we have that gas on Earth too, but the only way it's emitted here is by living organisms. They believe the best explanation is that the planet is covered with a warm ocean brimming with life. Based on their observations, there's only a 0.3% probability this gas occurred by chance, which is why they're considering this the strongest evidence of alien life yet.
He would cut his victims into pieces and mix their flesh with pork or beef to make hamburgers. Metheny lured his victims to his home, where he murdered them and dismembered their bodies. He claimed to have killed 13 people in total, and from their remains, he made thousands of burgers, which unsuspecting customers unknowingly consumed at his roadside stand. He was arrested in 1996 after the remains of one his victims were found under the trailer where he lived and worked.
The definition of despicable. They need to go ahead and put him under the jail.
Origins of Baphomet can be traced back to the Knights Templar, a wealthy and powerful religious order that was accused of worshipping a demonic idol known as Baphomet. This idol was often described as a severed head, sometimes taking the form of a goat or human head. During these alleged Baphomet rituals, Templar recruits were forced to commit blasphemous acts such as kissing the of goats, denying Jesus, spitting on the cross, and engaging in homosexual and other profane rites. Some Templars confessed that worshipping the idol brought them wealth, claiming that the head prophesied to them, granting them wisdom, made them rich, and quote, caused the land to germinate. In The Dragon Legacy, Nicholas de Ver suggests that Baphomet was a Nephilim, and in the Draconian tradition translates to Basho Mitra, or Father Mithras, also identified with Cain, or the son of Satan. Hugh Schonfield proposed that when Baphomet is transliterated into Aramaic and processed through the Atbash cipher, it reveals the word Sophia, the Greek term for wisdom. Similarly, Joseph von Hammer-Purgstall speculated that Baphomet originates from the Greek Baphometis, meaning baptism of wisdom. Albert Pike, in his Morals and Dogma, echoed Eliphas Levi's interpretation of Baphomet, describing it as the magical force of the universe, an energy derived from the union of opposites, which can be harnessed for supernatural abilities. Follow me for more hidden knowledge.
There's an ancient prophecy that claims Pope Francis will be the final pope before the end of the world. And now that he's gone, we may have just crossed the line into something irreversible. In the 12th century, a Catholic bishop named Saint Malachy wrote a series of prophecies. He predicted 112 popes from his time until the world's final judgment. Each one was described in cryptic Latin phrases, and everyone, shockingly, aligned with a real historical pope. The 112th and final name on the list? Peter the Roman. According to the prophecy, during his reign, Rome will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. Here's the twist. Pope Francis is the 112th, the final name, the last pope. But here's where it gets darker. Pope Francis wasn't born Peter, but his birth name? Jorge Mario Bergoglio. And his parents? Italians from Rome. Literally, Peter the Roman. So the prophecy wasn't wrong. It was just hidden in plain sight. Now imagine this. The prophecy said the final pope would oversee the collapse of Rome, and with his death, the final phase begins. The Vatican is already falling into silence. Unexplained blackouts, documents sealed. So, now that the last pope is gone, what's next? A new pope, or the beginning of the end? Comment prophecy if you've heard of this before.
Pope Francis died today. But what happens next has been prophesied for centuries, and it's terrifying. The Prophecy of the Popes is a book that was found in the Vatican archives. It predicted every pope from the year 1143 all the way to Pope Francis. But here's the dark part. After Pope Francis, the prophecy just ends with 2 words, Judgment Day. But here's where it gets scary. Inside St. Paul's Basilica, along the walls of the inner sanctuary, there are portraits of every pope in history. But there are only a limited number of spots made for these portraits, and right now there's only 1 spot left after Pope Francis. People have always said that once the last slot is filled, it will mark the end of the world. In the prophecy, the time between the first pope listed and the halfway point was 422 years. The prophecy says that from the middle pope to the last one would be another 422 years. The middle pope was in the year 1585, and if you add 422 years to that, you get the year 2027. There's also something Pope John the 23rd reportedly said, that the end of the world would come 2,000 years after Christ's life. If you count Jesus' life as around 27 years, that also points to 2027.
This is what happens to your body if you drink Coke every day. 1. Drinking Coke every day can harm your bones. Phosphoric acid and caffeine can interfere with calcium absorption, weakening your bones and increasing the risk of fractures and osteoporosis. 2. The high acidity in Coke can erode tooth enamel, leading to cavities and tooth decay. 3. Some studies suggest that the artificial chemicals in Coke, like caramel coloring and preservatives, may increase the risk of certain cancers. 4. Drinking Coke daily can harm your kidneys. The high levels of phosphoric acid can lead to kidney stones and even chronic kidney disease over time. Finally, a single can of Coke contains 39 grams of sugar, nearly 10 teaspoons. Drinking this daily increases your risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and raise your risk of heart disease. Follow me to optimize your health.
Let them know Jaguar Wright is running down on him. Like if Gail wanted to go to space and waste $1 billion for an 11-minute trip, why couldn't they make it work for our country? Why couldn't they take you, David Spades, the Schultz man, Vladimir Fusky, and his wife, who I'm sure ain't nothing more than a plant. That marriage can't be any more real than his DJ career. Charlemagne, the fraud, A minor, and Envy, who ain't nobody envying, but clearly you got the right name because you envy Charlemagne the fraud, who is a frog who kissed the prince so he could look okay. Let's look at the sign up. Let's look at the long line. This guy, David Spades, Schultz.
Hey, Jaguars 15 minutes then lasted about a smooth hour now.
I don't exist. So they're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. Jim Carrey was a less intentional character, because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character. I played the guy that was free from concern so that people who watched me would be free from concern.
There are potentially hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people all around the world that are completely off-grid, undocumented, because they were born, raised, and live in these underground tunnels. It goes so much deeper. Underneath the Buckingham Palace, there's a massive tunnel and like kind of a warehouse of people. It's really disturbing.
Damn.
Now, if you tell me you want some chicken McNuggets after seeing that, I know you're lying. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by yet again and watching another one with me on this beautiful Sunday. If you haven't already, smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button, and join the iTrack fam, man. Stay up to date with the latest, greatest, interesting, and creepy videos all across the world. And if you have nowhere to go, you're always welcome here, man. I'll catch you on the next one.